I would say it's mostly between 140K to 180K. Like I've seen people.
That is the average for data analytics role.
So around the college time, I was least interested in data, and I don't even think I had idea about. I started off with Android development. That was something which really excited me. I never really wanted to come to US and leave India. I guess within 2 days, I got a call from HR, and she got few details out of me, and then yeah, it was 3, 4 more rounds, and it worked out. About like more than 1 crore for your masters.
Whoa.
Yeah. That even I don't know Power BI yet. I've been working in this industry for 4 years and I don't know Power BI. I'm very comfortable with Tableau.
After this video, many of you were asking me how much Fortune 500 companies are paying in USA for the data analytics role. And you won't believe our today's guest speaker revealed some shocking facts because she is also working as a senior data analyst at Walmart USA. So if you are also an aspiring data analyst who are preparing for these type of good product based companies, then you must watch this podcast, and she will be sharing all her experience today, that how she got her interest in the data analytics even though she was much more into the web development, app development, how she prepared for it, what was her approach, the skill set, what kind of skills these companies are demanding from the candidates in the USA, how you can prepare, what is the approach for hunting the job opportunities there, the lifestyle, cost of living, average CTC, interview preparation, interview experience, detailed one. All of these things you are going to get in this podcast. So stay there for next 30 minutes and watch it till the end, and make sure to like it and share it in the big numbers to help others. And a really important announcement for all the aspiring data engineers. So if you are someone who want to become a data engineer, want to crack your dream job with their dream package and a dream company too, and still struggling that what is the right approach to prepare, how to acquire the most demanding tech skill set, then don't worry, I am here to help you with my platform Grow Data Skills, where I have started the new batch of data engineering bootcamp with AWS. This is going to be a 3 months of bootcamp, that too complete live classroom environment, and you will be learning the complete data engineering from basic to advanced in just 3.5 months without any prerequisite, just the basics of Python. That's the only demand of this bootcamp, and you will become a top-notch data engineer really soon. So in this bootcamp, I will be starting the things from the SQL, Hadoop, Hive, NoSQL databases, MongoDB, Cassandra, Airflow, data warehousing, data modeling, Databricks, Snowflake, dedicated AWS, BigQuery, Flink, Iceberg, Hoodie, which are the new edition of this particular bootcamp, and more than 15 plus industry grade projects we are going to cover from the scratch. And this is the best thing you can add in your resume to get shortlisted for any big company interview. The link is given in the description, or you can visit www.growdataskills.com to join my bootcamp. And you will be getting dedicated placement assistance here in the private Discord community, where you can ask your offline doubts. Plus, I also take the live doubt session after each live classes. And here we are help you with tons of job opportunities, dedicated interview preparation guide, quizzes, tons of assignments, their solution, case studies, and so many things with the resume building preparation and the LinkedIn profile making things. So this is what you are going to get at very tiny cost. So what are you waiting for? Join it today and learn data engineering from basic to advanced in live classroom from me. All right, so thank you so much, Jahanvee, for joining this podcast. We are meeting after a long time, and it's always good to have you here and discuss cool stuff about the data analytics. But for the new audience who haven't seen you before, could you just give a short introduction about yourself, anything about your past and current background?
Sure, definitely. Hi, happy to be here again, first of all. And for the newer audience, hi, I am Jahanvee Narang. I'm a senior data analyst currently working at Walmart Sam's Club for the Member Access platform. It's a basically retail media platform for Walmart where I perform analytics. Before that, I was part of 𝗲cie𝗶𝗶. I was working for Home Depot, and then I went to Lowe's. It's also in home improvement industry. I came to US last year for my master's, graduated this May, and been working with Sam's and Walmart since June. So yeah, I do have my podcast and LinkedIn voice. So yeah.
Like during your college time, like it was your passion that okay, I will start my career in the data analytics, or you had some different aspirations at that time? How the things were for you during the college time, and how did you start it?
So around the college time, I was least interested in data, and I don't even think I had idea about this field that it even exists. I don't think in my college, at least in my time when I was in 2016 with my first year, mostly people used to talk about like software engineering, web development, Android development. That used to be like the main thing. I started off with Android development. That was something which really excited me, the UI, the UX, the backend, the front end. And I didn't really wanted to just, do coding whole day, where something in the background with the black theme has been working on. So the thing that really excited me was app development and actually publishing my apps on the Play Store. That was something which really excited me. In my first or the second, I believe in the first or second year, I went to IIT Mandi, and over there I met a lot of folks which really inspired me. Being from tier three college, you didn't really get that much exposure, but I guess going to different colleges really excited me about Android, and I started with that until the very end, and that's when I realized that this field is really blooming and this is very exciting, and I just went ahead with it.
Now my next question is, like, when and how did you hear about this data analytics domain very precisely, and what was your first experience, and maybe I can say, when did you get your first full-time job for the data analytics role, how it started, the key learnings, challenges at the very beginning in the data analytics?
So, 𝗍𝗶𝗶 came in my campus as for campus placement, and that's how I got to know about the company, and that's how I got to know about that there's something called decision scientist and data scientist, that term exists,
Yeah,
for
they
which
have
they
this
are.
very really cool profile, decision scientist.
Yeah, I'm like, oh my god, this is very exciting. And I knew about the company. Somehow my brother once mentioned it. And I just had a conversation, and he's like, this is a really great company to learn a lot in start of your career. So, but I had no idea about data. I had no projects about data. I mean, when I went for the interview as well, I didn't even had resume with me. I just went there. I don't know what I was doing. It was Sunday. First round was like normal coding or something, and second round was in person, for which you had to carry a resume. I didn't had, and on Sunday the campus was also closed, like the stationery shops. I don't know how I found someone who knew about a shop and got that resume printed out. So I got lugged out there, and even during the interviews as well, I was able to showcase my skills, which was overlapping with Android and data science. I was able to portray the UI, the UX, because in analytics as well, you have to like figure out debug as well. And you do have to find out how to, way around creative wireframing, especially for dashboarding and reporting. So I guess that was the first time I got introduced. And when I started with Music, it was really tough because I had a practice of working with Java entire
Yeah.
4 years for Android development. And it was a little tricky shift because, first of all, SQL, no idea, Python, no idea, stats, no idea. This was literally out of the blue. And in the training days, I have cried like almost every other week for the first few months, I believe. It was a little tricky, but I guess as you move ahead, you get a hold of it. And I believe if you know one language, it's easy to transition. But if you have been working with same language for 4 years, it's little difficult, but it's not impossible. So
Was there any moment you felt this seems a bad decision? Maybe I should quit Music in 4, 5, 6 months and pursue my aspiration of the web development and the app development. Was there any moment?
every day, every day.
Oh
Every
my
day,
God.
because I felt like I got really good at it in 4 years, and I didn't wanted to lose that. I was like, I have published about like 2 3 apps around that time on Play Store, so it got really close to me that I'm failing at this job every day, where I was actually excelling in my personal growth, because there was no company involved. I was doing it on my own, out of my own passion. So every day I used to be like, but it was a COVID time, so I got graduated in 2020, so I didn't really had a lot of options.
I see.
So
Okay.
yeah, but I'm happy. I'm happy I quit Android development and got into data. I love this field now.
Amazing. So recently you have moved to US for the higher studies, right? So I want to know this main reason, like why majority of the people think about the higher studies, and that too from USA. What was the main reason behind it? Like lack of opportunities here in India, because though you were working here as well, you got the opportunities in the data analytics domain. Then why decision for the higher studies, and main reasons, factors you want to share?
I never really wanted to come to US and leave India, and I feel like I had good opportunities over there as well. But I don't know. I after the podcast we had 2 years back, I started my own podcast, and over there I had few guests over, and we had the conversation post the podcast. This was with Douglas Lenny, and he was the one who actually motivated me, and he gave me like a picture and a roadmap about what all I can achieve in US and what all opportunities will be available to me, which are not there yet in India. And that was something with like that 5 to 10 minute conversation really triggered me, and I was like, okay, let me take a chance and go. So
Okay.
that was it. It's not about having less opportunities in India. I feel like Bangalore has great opportunities, Delhi has great opportunities. There's so
Yeah.
many data companies. The work is really good. Fortune 50 companies are available in Manyata. So work-life balance for few companies are really good. With Lowe's, I had the best work-life balance, so no complaints over there as well. So it was just about more exposure and opportunities while I can.
What do you miss a lot there, because a new place, not sure like you have some friends, relatives there or not, but what do you miss more about India when you go there, working there, and hardly in a year, maybe once or twice you are visiting India? So how do you feel in terms of life?
The only time I miss India very badly is like festivals. Like that is something that can crack me up. That's the only time, because I guess no matter like how big or small a festival is and how big or small you celebrate it, it's just about like families coming together, cooking something, having those conversations which you can have here with friends, but something you've been doing for 20 to 25 years, no one can replace that. So that's the only time I'm like, FOMO.
Yep. It's a total vibe, like Diwali, Holi, and all other festival, family get-togethers. It's a different vibe here. So definitely, I
I
can
try to
feel
create
that
the
you will be
same thing over
missing.
here. Yeah, I try to create the same vibe over here with my friends. Luckily, I had Diwali party last year as well and this year as well, and few of my friends keep Ganpati. So that way, it's good that people are still continuing the tradition, but it's just your folks who are not there. So
Recently, you have like got the data analyst role at the Walmart. So I'm more interested to know about how that job hunting process works there in USA mostly, and how did you basically get these kind of interview opportunities in these Fortune like 500 companies?
my story is actually very interesting.
Okay.
I came to India in last December, I believe, and since then I was getting graduated this May. So since December, I reached out about like I started reaching out, sending requests to people I know, people I don't know, and there's a first second connection, trying to overlap people with people from 𝗍𝗵, people from Lowe's, people from my same university, trying to reach out to them to share their number so we can connect and try to get an understanding about the process about hiring and job hunting. I know the process, but it's better to have a conversation, and it's a good conversation starter. Like, are you free? If you can catch up for 15 minutes, would love to know your opinion on this. And in that process, I met some really amazing people over there. I found my mentor Aditya Khandelwal. He's a director position in Amazon. I met some amazing people who are already working in Walmart, and they helped me out as well, trying to refer me, but that didn't really work out. And in the process of like reaching out to people, I actually reached out to my manager, 𝗏𝗏𝗶𝗶 Mohan. So I just randomly, she was one of the people I reached out to, and I texted her that would you be able to review my resume, if we can schedule a quick 5 to 10 minutes call. And we did that. Before the call, she sent me that there's an opening in my team if you will be able to review, just see that, because it was actually overlapping with my resume and my experience as well, because I had experience in customer and marketing and web analytics in the past. I read that, I applied for it, and we went on a call. She did ask me a few questions about my experience. She gave me a few tips. I guess within 2 days, I got a call from HR, and she got few details out of me, and then yeah, it was 3, 4 more rounds, and it worked out.
I just want to compare this process between India and US. So here, like you already know, people mostly rely on LinkedIn, Naukri, and tons of other job hunting platforms. So is it like completely different in USA? People depend more on the networking and referral. How does it work there?
Definitely, I feel like in USA, networking is a big help. Whoever is like whatever, because I got this job 3 months before I was graduated. So every time I used to even apply and spend time like without referral as well, I just used to get rejections. At least through referral, I'm getting some response, and trying to reach out to the people who know you and who have seen your work also helps, because they do want to work with you again. So I was trying to do that. The hiring manager, I reached out to her. She was completely unknown, but uh, she was also part of 𝗲cie𝗰𝗶 at some time. So that was the common connection through which I reached out to her. But yeah, I do feel like referral is something which is really important in US, and I feel it's in India as well. At some extent, it is important. It does give you that leverage.
Moving on to next question, right? Which maybe for anyone who is aspired to go for like higher studies. So can you just quickly give you the overview of process? Like how do people usually apply for the higher studies in USA, like universities, the process, plus the on an average expense they have to do for this thing and like till the completion of their higher studies.
I feel like it has to be your decision about choosing the college. There are a lot of tests which were done. I came around the COVID time, so there were a lot of tests which were waived off for me. So I didn't really go through the process, but I guess reaching out to consultants do help, and they do provide you a better idea about colleges and scholarships and everything. For me, money was a big problem. I didn't wanted to go to any college which has more than like $50,000 of fees.
Okay.
I took a loan of
And
forty-five
$50,000
thousand
for a year or for that entire course,
for the
maybe two
entire
year.
course. For the entire course. Like I wanted
I
to go
see.
for something which is below that. Like that was my break off point.
That's 50, yeah,
Um,
50K dollars definitely a big amount.
Yeah, people actually come with like 100K as well. Like it's pretty
My
common
God.
in here. It's really expensive depending on the city as well. If you go for Columbia or NYU, you definitely have to pay about like more than 1 crore for your masters.
Whoa.
Yeah. Yeah,
This
it is
is.
pretty expensive, but that does give you the college brand name as well. So many people go for brand name. I wanted to go for masters because I do know that I was coming with 3.5 years of working experience, and I do had a good exposure, and I had few networks over here. So keeping that in mind, I came and chose the college which was for just 1 year. So that was also my cutoff criteria, that I don't want to go for courses that were for 2 years. The second criteria was less than 50,000. So the college I went to, it costed me about like $30,000, because rest got paid off through my internships and a little bit of my savings.
Could you like elaborate a bit about the interview process for the senior data analyst role at Walmart? Like usually on an average, how many rounds will be there, and in these rounds, what they can expect from the interviewers in terms of the questions for the analytics role?
Usually 3 to 4 rounds happen. Depending on team to team, your technicality skills will be checked. If you're going for supply chain, it's little less technical. If you are going for an experimentation team, it's very technical. For me, the retail media team, it was somewhere between technical and non-technical, getting to know about my business understanding about retail media in general and marketing analytics. For me, the first round was HR round, where HR call. It was a phone call round, and they got to know the details, what I'm looking for, and everything. The second round was technical, which my hiring manager took. It was a 30-minute split between SQL questions and 30-minute of business understanding and domain knowledge. So I will ask questions on marketing analytics related to test and control, A/B testing, how can we calculate the effectiveness of a marketing campaign, talking about different KPIs, metrics, and display banners. So things around that. The second round was a panel round. So the first round was Python round, where I was asked questions related to how to figure out missing values, null values, debug a certain code, trying to figure out how what's the best approach to go for in certain scenarios. The second panel round was Tableau related and business understanding again. So I was asked questions related to sponsored ads, how can we create artificial test and control, things related to that, and Tableau questions here and there about filtering and creating dashboards and reports and how to storytell. The last round was supposed to be behavioral, and in all these three rounds as well, I guess in US at least, all the rounds do have some behavioral questions. So all the questions were somehow related to my work experience and trying to understand and put that behavioral thing inside. The last round was with my director, and it was supposed to be fully behavioral, non-technical round, but he's a director of data science, so he was like, okay, let's just go with stats. So he took 30 minutes of interview in stats, but I went prepared for behavioral rounds.
So how the job market right there for the data roles could be like data science, analytics, data engineering, what these companies are actually expecting from a candidate with respect to the skill set, because you will see tons of dashboarding tools, right? Tons of many other things which a data analyst might be using. So what these aspiring data analysts should be focusing more and more to land into these jobs quickly.
I feel like the job market is fine for, say, if you know how to do the work, companies are ready to hire. Like it can take some time. People are a little still struggling, but it's not impossible as well, I would say. Like if you know how to do the work, it's working out fine for a lot of people, I know at least. Regarding the skill set, even I don't know Power BI yet. I've been working in this industry for 4 years and I don't know Power BI. I'm very comfortable with Tableau, and somehow wherever I go, Tableau is there. In Lowe's, it was not there, so I did regret that 1 year. But yeah, I mean, I feel like for the visualization software, it really doesn't matter. It's mostly about storytelling and how you want to portray. Coming from Android development, I did a lot of UI designing. So that really helped me in actually imagining and like penning it down what I want in my dashboard to look like, how exactly I want to structure it. And Tableau has some amazing resources available as well. I love Tableau accelerators, through which if you go there, there are already templates which are available for you to take inferences and try to understand how exactly you can have a perfect dashboard. Also explaining what all it can deliver. So I keep taking inspirations from that. The base is SQL. I feel like getting good at SQL is really important. You should be able to solve any question anytime of the time. Next thing would be, I guess, domain knowledge. Depending on team to team, people over here really look for a business understanding. At the end of the day, it's writing SQL queries, but if you don't have a business understanding, it can get a little tricky for sure.
So one question from the folks who I have talked to, and the most common interview preparation tension they have: how should I prepare the case studies round? Like, is there any documented resource? Like, we are not able to find it. So, based on your experience, what is the best way to prepare for the case study round specifically? And if you have come across with particular resources, and if you can mention them.
So regarding the case study, I would say I went to just ChatGPT and Google that what all business problems are related to this particular domain. For example, I was interviewing for a retail media analytics team. So I Googled for retail media and I got to know about a lot of analytics which is done in that domain. And I Googled and YouTubed it, and I try to understand like if there are people who have already created projects in that, if I can get to know what are different KPIs that are involved, or if someone is explaining how that business really works, it does help in. It's not, at least in US, they're not typically case study, but they'll give you a scenario that okay, this is a sponsored ad which we are struggling with. How can we increase the bid? How can we improve that? So it's mostly around KPIs and metrics and how to improve that, because that's your role gonna be in an analytics role as well at the end of the day. So just having a good knowledge, if you know which team you're going into, just Google it very well, chat GPT, try to get an understanding of how that business domain works. Use YouTube. I actually watch about like 10 to 15 different YouTube videos about different customer analytics, marketing analytics, retail media analytics, uh, domain problem statement, and how people are solving, whether it's in Python, whether it's in SQL, whether it's in Tableau. Just try to get an understanding from a different person's perspective, like how they're exactly solving that problem. So yeah.
How do you compare the work-life balance thing between India and USA in the tech companies? So you have worked here as well. I have been working here as well. We know our situations that even if it's a late night call, be it 9 p.m., 10 p.m., right? Folks here in India, they are up there. Okay, we will be taking those calls, right? And this is the part where the work-life balance is being compromised. But I have seen people in US and other countries, if it's like 5 p.m., 6 p.m., they have shut down their laptop, it's done for them for that day, right? Now next morning, doesn't matter what happens to the code production, whatever is going on. So how do you compare it, and why we are not able to follow this culture here in India?
I feel like 𝗍_Sigma didn't have that, but Lowe's definitely did had work-life balance. Lowe's was an amazing company to work if you need work-life balance. Like over there, your laptop can actually close before 5 if you're good with the day. Like if you have already completed your work, you can end your day, and that happened with me, and that actually motivated me to do other stuff like LinkedIn and podcasts, because I had time. They give me that privilege, especially with work from home. So I guess it depends on companies to companies. I still have a lot of friends who are struggling with this. And they have to attend calls until 9, 10, sometimes randomly at 11. They have to reply to an email, and they are supposed to reply to that email
Yeah.
before the morning as well. So I think it depends on the mindset of your managers as well, and the company's vision, that how exactly they want to treat their employees and what kind of culture they want to incorporate. If it's a big company and it's a good company, and if you are in a domain where, for me at least, for most of my life I've worked in marketing analytics, nothing will go up and down if like a campaign fails or something like that. So at least thankfully I didn't really had to face that problem. But people in data science, people in website analytics, over that time, like if something small goes up and down, it can actually crash the entire company up, and loss can happen in like millions and billions. So on
Yeah.
those scenarios, I do feel like, but not for like every employee. It should be something which is happening daily.
Moving on to another important question, that is the average compensation being paid for the senior analytics role. So, considering you being on that like 3 to 5 years of experience, how these product-based companies are paying for the analytics role on an average compensation?
I guess it mostly goes between city to city, because there are a lot of tax issues over here. So it depends on city to city. But I would say it's mostly between 140K to 180K. Like I've seen people get between 140 to
Wow.
180K, depending on the cities as well.
That is the average for data analytics role.
Yeah,
Wow.
in senior data analyst role,
Yeah,
like
yeah. Well, the analytics role,
yeah,
I mean
yeah,
to say, yeah, this one like three to
yeah,
five years of experience. But yeah, this
yeah.
is pretty handsome. I mean, in India, if like you want to compare the average compensation, you know the equation as well, right? How this is for the analyst role. I mean, I have seen data scientists probably and engineers being paid more, like on top of it for this years of experience. But if it's on an average 140, 180 there, I mean, this is pretty amazing.
I guess that depends on the city to city as well. There are a lot of
Uh,
cities which
the cost of
take up to
living will
like
also
30,
matter. Yeah.
yeah, the cost of living, then the taxes and everything.
Hmm.
So they'll still complain in 180.
Yeah, like 30, I guess 30% is straight, like goes to the government for the tax, right? There is no
Yeah.
slabbing as well there, what I know from other people, tax slabs
There
or
is
something like
one,
that.
yeah, there's no tax slab. Everyone has to pay the same thing. When I was
Wow.
doing internship, I paid 30%, 30 or 35%.
I mean, in this, I guess this scenario, feel like we are better here. I mean, at least we have a different slabs. But yeah, I mean, as
Yeah,
soon as you go beyond like 15 LPA or something, like it's straight
it really
30%
doesn't
here
matter.
as well. in just 1.5 months we'll be entering into 2025. Lots of new dreams, aspiring engineers, aspiring analysts. So from your overall life experience plus personal experience, what would you like to advise them, how they should take forward their career, how they should take the right decision and start things as early as possible, not waiting too long that okay someone will come, will guide me, and then I will start my career. So what would be your advice?
If someone has to start with analytics, I guess I'll give the same answer which I gave like 2 years back in your podcast. Start with SQL, like go really hard with HackerRank, Data Lemure. These are some really great websites to practice. I feel like you learn SQL through practicing itself. It's a very easy language. It's mostly about logic building. So the more you practice, the more your brain will function in solving questions. So I guess that is very important. No matter how much you read about left join, right join on theory, and you try to write it on pen and paper, you're not going to remember. It's not going to work that much until you go and practice it on HackerRank. And I'll give the same tip which I gave last time as well. If you think you are just getting started and you're not really able to solve it, create 2 different HackerRank accounts. First, use Google or YouTube, anything, and try to get an understanding. Try once on your own. If you're not able to do it, take references, do it, and try to understand what's the logic behind it. And in the second time, after 1 week, use your second account, go and solve that question and see if your muscle memory remembers the logic and if you are able to solve it on your own, because that really helps. And I still do it. When I was preparing for job hunting in US, I started with the same technique and it really helped. Within, for the starters, for the advanced questions, I was not able to do it. I took references, and after 3-4 days, I practiced it on my own and it worked. So for me, I feel like that really works, and I advise that to my friends as well, which were there in college with me. And the second thing would be stats and Python. That also, like, stats theory is important for me. Like, I want to know the theory behind it and try to correlate with stories. I feel like 𝗏𝗲𝗱𝗶 is the best person to explain that. I really love his stats songs and the way he explains everything in like 3-4 minutes. So if there's a concept, I really go up to him and just Google the topic of stats and 𝗏𝗏𝗱𝗶, and I just go through his video. That's like a go-to for me. For Python, I feel like it depends if you're creating like a project or if you just want to appear for interviews. If you just want to go for interviews, I feel like there are like, I can share the resources with you as well. I've already created like for myself, so maybe, because there are a couple of resources for Python which are there, and there are like on YouTube, I just go and try to follow and try to look different projects people are creating in this domain, how they are solving, what's their intention of completing the project, what are they trying to improve. So that really helps when you go to the interview as well, and when you're trying to prepare as well. You'll get to see what other people are doing and how their mindset is, what is their thought process. So that really helps.
Brilliant words of wisdoms, and I hope people have got the idea from your experience as well, that if someone is targeting these type of companies and want to get into the data analytics, how they should approach and what all things they need to learn. So yeah, this was wonderful. It's always a pleasure like to talk to you and get your experience and share it with others, and that's what we did 2 years back. And again, maybe as you progress, we will be having more and more podcasts. So this was wonderful. A big thanks from my side, from the audience side as well. And you can also follow her on TopMade if you want any guidance, and her profile links will be there in the description. So do check out her channel as well and connect whenever you want. She will be the best person to help you. So thank you so much, Jahanvee, for joining us and sharing your wonderful experience.
Thank you for inviting me again. It's been a great experience in the 2 years. And I'm happy I was able to start my own podcast, and you really motivated me and you guided me throughout wherever I stuck. Even now, you were like pushing me to start again. So thank you for being that supportive friend in those 2 years as well and inviting me again.
So that is what I had for all of you in this amazing podcast. I hope you have enjoyed this experience of Jahanvee and how she actually cracked the senior data analyst role at Walmart. If you find it informative, make sure to give a like in the big numbers, share it with your fellow friends who are preparing for the data analytics role, and if you're new to the channel, make sure to hit the subscribe button and press the notification icon. And for all the aspiring data engineers, don't forget to join the data engineering with AWS bootcamp, where you will be learning entire data engineering from basic to advanced in just 3.5 months, with the exposure of 15 plus industry grade projects and the exposure of most demanding and required tech skills by the companies. So I will be waiting for all of you in the live classes. Hurry up and check out the link in the description.